We knew we had to do something. Right. We couldn't just sit here and send it back and say we can't do anything. There was a child in immediate danger and it had to be stopped.
When the Texas Department of Public Safety Crime Lab received an image of a child being molested, this image, they knew they had to try to identify the person whose hand was in the photo. And while the image clearly showed the person's fingerprints, the crime lab had never identified a suspect just using a photo of fingerprints. The Night Team's Tim Gerber explains how they did it. It's tonight's Crime Fighters Report.
What's different about this case is the high quality of the actual photographed image. We very rarely have that type of evidence.
Megan Blackburn typically works with fingerprints lifted from crime scenes, but in July 2015, she was given this picture from a child pornography investigation.
An individual inadvertently captured their own prints during the commission of a crime.
Investigators wanted to know if she could use the image to identify the suspect.
Basically cropped it down and then worked with what I had here.
There was plenty of detail in the image to work with, but there was a problem.
Most of the evidence the crime lab works on comes with a scale which helps them calibrate and process the print. In this case, that picture had no scale in it, so they had to create their own. But first, they had to figure out the average length of a man's hand. Once they had that, they did some math, which gave them an estimated size of the suspect's finger, giving them the scale they needed.
Once we got that, the rest is really just normal processing of casework.
Blackburn turned the prints over to Jenny Hall.
I knew that if I ID'd this print, I was IDing the person committing the offense because his hand was in there.
She pored over the image, highlighting unique characteristics.
I take a closer look and I actually go through and trace each ridge and plot all the minutia that I see.
She fed the finished image into the state's Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS, to look for a match. No hits came back, so she entered it into the FBI's nationwide AFIS program and went home for the night. The next morning, she had 20 possible matches.
This one I knew right away just based on the first candidate, looking at the points that I had marked and the points I was looking for in that known print, that I had a match.
The prints belonged to a man in Georgia. Just 24 hours after the team in Austin got the original image, Robert Bosick Jr. was arrested at his job.
He ended up giving a total confession and gave away a bunch of names of other individuals that were involved in it as well.
The victim was a neighbor of Bosick's. Hall and Blackburn were relieved she was now safe and are hopeful the work they did on this case will help bring other offenders to justice.
I hope that they keep leaving their fingers and hands and photographs that they're going to be taken like this and they all get arrested.
Taking a predator off the streets. That was Tim Gerber reporting. Now, last year, Hall and Blackburn received the FBI's Biometric Identification Award for their work on this case. Robert Bosick Jr., convicted in federal court in Georgia on 2 counts of child pornography, was sentenced to 50 years. He also provided the names of the people he traded the image with, which has led to numerous arrests here in the U.S. and in other countries.